Welcome to this explainer. We hear the word workhorse tossed around a lot in farming, right? Well, today, we're breaking down the mechanics of a machine that literally defines the term, the John Deere 5310.
Picture this. You need a machine that pulls heavy loads, runs complex implements, and just doesn't quit, hour after hour, mud or shine. We're going to dive into exactly why this specific tractor has built a reputation for thriving in the absolute toughest conditions and become a global staple on the farm.
So here's how we're breaking it down today. First, we'll meet the iron workhorse, check out the power under the hood, and gear up for the field. Then we'll dive into heavy lifting and hydraulics, look at some real-world reliability, and see why it's the farmer's trusted choice. Let's get right into it. Section 1 meets the iron workhorse, a global staple. At the heart of the modern PowerTech edition of this tractor is an impressive 57 horsepower. And look, I know 57 might just sound like an arbitrary number on a spec sheet, but in the utility tractor world, that is a very deliberate sweet spot. It gives you all the grunt you need for heavy tasks without turning into some massive, fuel-guzzling giant that's just too clumsy for everyday chores. And it's not just raw power either. We're talking about a robust 3-cylinder John Deere turbocharged engine with high-pressure common rail fuel injection. Basically, that means incredibly precise fuel delivery. But my absolute favorite feature here, the Clean Pro reversible fan cooling. If you're working in a dusty, debris-filled environment, this system literally reverses airflow to blow debris straight out of the radiator screen. It actively stops the tractor from overheating so you can keep running. Moving right along to Section 2, power under the hood, data from the field. Okay, independent testing is where the rubber really meets the road. The Nebraska tractor test proved this machine actually cranks out over 58 horsepower at 1900 RPM. But check out that fuel rate at max power, only 3.2 gallons an hour. Plus, it pushes a max torque of 168 pound-feet. What does all that math actually mean for you? It means the 5310 handles heavy loads while sipping fuel, keeping cash in the farmer's pocket during those brutal long days. Section 3. Gearing up for the field. Transmission versatility. Let's face it, power is totally useless if you can't get it to the ground efficiently. The big takeaway here is flexibility. You aren't stuck with a one-size-fits-all gearbox. You can grab the standard Gear Pro setup, 12 forward, 4 reverse speeds, which is fantastic for general field cultivation. Or you can upgrade to the power reverser setup. That gives you 12 forward and 12 reverse speeds. And get this, you can change directions without even touching the clutch. If you're doing heavy loader work, going back and forth all day long, that power reverser is an absolute game changer for your productivity. All right, Section 4, heavy lifting and hydraulics, unmatched capacity. On a modern farm, tractors aren't just for pulling anymore. They're lifting, holding, and powering heavy equipment. The 5310 boasts a massive optional hydraulic lifting capacity of 2,500 kilograms at the rear linkages. That raw lifting capability is exactly what transforms this machine into a true multi-tool. We're talking about easily lifting heavy potato planters, giant seed drills, and 3-bottom reversible plows. If you didn't have this kind of hydraulic strength, you'd be forced to go out and buy a much larger, way more expensive tractor. But hey, someone's got to drive this thing, right? And controlling all that power requires comfort. So, operators get power steering, a really clean, modern digital dashboard to track hours and PTO speeds, and a comfortable seat to save your back. Minimizing fatigue is absolutely crucial during those endless harvest days, and it's built right into the design here. Section 5. Real-world reliability, what farmers say. Specs on a piece of paper are great, but how does it hold up in the actual dirt? John Deere gives you a pretty strict but totally manageable maintenance schedule. 50 hours, just check your fluids and tires. 100 hours is your first oil and filter change. By 500 hours, you're swapping fuel filters, and hitting 1,200 hours means it's time for a transmission hydraulic oil. Stick to that predictable timeline, and this thing just runs, keeping your unexpected downtime to an absolute minimum. But let's be totally real for a second. No machine is perfect. So what are the actual people driving these things dealing with after years of daily use? What are the quirks? Impartially speaking, looking at what the community says, a really common quirk is a fuel drainback issue. Basically, if the tractor sits idle for a while, the fuel drains back and makes it tough to restart. But here's the silver lining. As you can see from this owner's feedback, the culprit is usually just the primer assembly. That's an inexpensive $60 part. So yeah, it's a known quirk, but super easy to fix. Another thing that popped up in some of the older early models was a weak parking pawl. That's the mechanism that keeps the tractor steady when parked.
But John Deere actually listened to the feedback and rolled out an updated design kit so farmers could easily retrofit it right in the field. It shows a machine that evolves based on real-world use.
Finally, Section 6, the farmer's trusted choice, combining features. When you step back, it really is the whole package that makes this tractor command so much respect globally. You've got that reliable, fuel-efficient 57-horsepower engine, the choice between GearPro or power reverser transmissions, and enough hydraulic strength to lift 2,500 kilograms. Pair all that with transparent, easy-to-manage maintenance corks and a cab that actually keeps you comfortable. That's exactly why the 5310 is such an indispensable tool on the farm.
So, knowing all this, from the hard Nebraska test data to the honest dirt from the fields, would the John Deere 5310 be your trusted choice for your operation? And looking ahead, which legendary farming machine should we break down in our next explainer? Let us know and keep learning.